Over the last year, we have seen the financial crisis spread from the developed to developing economies. In Africa, we have seen reduced trade volumes and falling investment, affecting the livelihoods of literally millions of people. But despite these challenges, 9 of the world's 20 fastest growing economies this year are predicted to be in sub-Saharan Africa. New investment opportunities are constantly opening up across the continent. And over the 25 years, from 2005 to 2030, we expect the global economy to double in size, creating hundreds of millions of new jobs, and the majority of them will be in developing and emerging economies. And we know that jobs are the surest way out of poverty. 9 out of 10 jobs in the developing world are in the private sector. Indeed, some 500 million people have been lifted out of poverty by private sector-led growth in the last 30 years. And what is clear is that business, large or small, formal and informal, is critical for development. A healthy, vibrant private sector creates jobs, revenues, and critical goods and services. It lifts people out of poverty, and as our Prime Minister has said, it gives people the dignity of economic independence that allows people to take control of their own lives and to shape their own destiny. And for the United Kingdom Government, we have stepped up both our engagement with business and our support for growth over the last few years. In May 2008, Gordon Brown launched the Business Call to Action alongside Camille Davis, head of the UK Development Programme. More than 80 CEOs, President Kagame, President Kafur of Ghana, attended and spoke of the importance of the business investment and growth for Africa's development. And through the Business Call to Action, we're helping more businesses to invest in developing countries and generating more benefits for local economies. So far, some 70 businesses have pledged their support, and I encourage any of you which haven't already done so to sign up today. We're also helping companies looking to invest in Africa through the establishment of a business innovation facility. This facility will provide advice, broker new partnerships between businesses, governments and NGOs, and help companies contribute to sustainable, low-carbon growth for Africa. And we're working with business to strengthen weak infrastructure and to improve the investment climate in economies like Sierra Leone and Liberia through the Africa Investment Climate Facility. Altogether, we now spend some £800 million to support economic growth and help countries improve their capacity to trade. And we will continue to scale up our support going forward. Now, of course, as has been said already this morning, the world has changed dramatically, particularly over the last 12 months. The IMF is predicting economic growth of just 1.7% in 2009, which in per capita terms, as you know, is negative growth. A number of countries are suffering from the fiscal and balance of payments effects of sharply lower commodity prices. 6 of DFID's 14 priority countries in Africa have received support from the IMF's expanded exogenous shocks facility. And we are predicting an additional 90 million people will find themselves in poverty as a result of the downturn than otherwise would have been the case. And that is why it is now even more important that we all work to support African economies to grow. To support business in Africa, we firstly need infrastructure. But we also need to make sure that businesses are properly informed about the opportunities that are available to them. For example, the explosion in the number of mobile phones in Africa has created new opportunities for mobile banking. Vodafone have added 5 million subscribers to its mobile banking service in just 2 years. And Microsoft is set to open up 4 new innovation centres in Morocco, Rwanda, Nigeria and Uganda, providing technology and IT expertise for new business and for entrepreneurs. However, these examples are still the exception, so we need to make more progress. Secondly, we also need to build up local supply chains. and to source more goods from developing countries. Diageo, for example, is sourcing the drinks ingredient sorghum from local producers in Cameroon, supporting local industries and creating knock-on benefits for literally thousands of workers. And in Indonesia, Unilever purchases nearly 85% of its goods and services through a local supply chain, providing incomes for an estimated 300,000 people. But we need to do more. And although United Kingdom supermarkets turn over more than £100 billion a year, they still spend less than 3% of this on products from developing countries. The third point is that governments also need to deliver the right conditions for investment. Political stability, functioning courts and transparency are critical for business and essential for unlocking economic growth and prosperity. The Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, for example, is setting a global standard for companies to publish what they pay, and for governments to disclose what they receive in the extractive sector. And the EITI, together with its new sister initiatives, the Medicines Transparency Alliance and the Construction Sector Transparency Initiative, is showing how businesses, governments and civil society can work together to ensure markets operate fairly and benefit everyone. And we will continue to work with developing countries around the world to address corruption, build stronger institutions and provide the right conditions for growth and investment. We also need to help developing countries to integrate regionally. And here businesses are ahead of us. It is normal for multinational companies operating in Africa to work regionally through regional supply chains, manufacturing, transport and sales. But at present, regional trade is both expensive and slow. African economies need to strengthen their infrastructure by improving roads, rail and ports, and reducing the barriers to trade. Transporting a single cargo of copper from the Democratic Republic of Congo to South Africa currently takes between 2 to 3 weeks. In Europe, a journey of the same distance will take 48 hours. And delays like this make doing business extremely costly. That is why in April, the United Kingdom championed the Commissar, EAC and SADC-led North-South Corridor Infrastructure Conference in Zambia to secure the funding that is required to remove bottlenecks and to reduce transport costs across southern and eastern Africa. $1.2 billion was pledged at this conference. And we in the United Kingdom will spend a further £100 million on projects in the region. And this is not just about infrastructure, however. African economies are geographically fragmented. Many are small and landlocked. This increases the cost of trading across borders, which reduces the incentive for private sector investment. Countries need to integrate their economies by cutting tariff barriers, making it easier to transport goods. And we are working with the East African community and the private sector in the region to do just that. When it is cheap and quick to transport goods between countries in Africa, investors will not fail to spot the opportunities. In short, ladies and gentlemen, for an increasing number of businesses, Africa is the next frontier. And governments need to create the right investment climate to make it easier to do business. And businesses need to do more to take advantage of the opportunities that Africa presents. And by investing in Africa, they will provide new jobs and new business opportunities, and thus creating a lifeline out of poverty for millions of people.